Can you talk about the atomic heart controversy? No. I don't even know what the controversy is. What? Russian dev? Okay. There are people in Russia. The controversy is that it's a Russian game. Okay. You know, the devs directly fund the Russian government. Okay, by directly fund the Russian government, what do you mean? Do you mean they pay taxes, like literally everyone in Russia? Or do you mean there's some, like, more direct, specific relationship? Taxes. Okay, so, like, I fund the CIA? No, the devs have ties to Russian state media? Okay. They have some funding from Gazprom? Okay. The executive in charge used to work for Gazprom? Okay. Okay, here. I saw a video that was recommended saying, please don't buy Atomic Heart from Horenko.
So far, the game has been universally appraised, earning top spots in oncoming games lists on sites like PC Gamer, IGN, and Gamescom. The story of the company begins with its launch in After the events of 2022, the company completely ostracized itself from being known as a strictly Russian company, and is now presenting itself as international, which in terms of their history of office installments and offshores means half Cyprus, half Armenian, half Singapore, and whatever the hell else, just to avoid sanctions and negative
The hammer sickle stuff is cringe, TBH? Well, isn't this set in the Soviet Union?
spotlight. So, now that we've established that this is actually a Russian studio, what is their opinion on the war going on? What could be their stance on this tragic matter that could save and keep their public image and also not—
Okay, I don't care if the devs are Russian nationalists. If you find the devs for a bunch of companies that do media, a lot of them are gonna have shitty positions. Do we hold every company to that standard? Like, I'm not gonna buy like this thing because it's like the devs have, like, what's the actual thing here?
Guys, we have noted the questions surrounding where we at Moonfish stand. We want to assure you that Moonfish is a developer and studio with a global team focused on an innovative game and is undeniably a pro-peace organization against the violence against people. We do not comment on politics or religion. Rest assured, we're a global team focused— Hold on, stop. We do not comment on politics? You're making a game that's sole idea is USSR renewal and communism. You classified your game as inspired by Bioshock and Prey, yet you go the no politics in my video game route? This is one—
I love it when devs do that. That's my favorite shit in the world, man. I love that.
Step away from the types of gamers who say, I don't like politics in my video game, and then immediately open up Fallout. What absolute nonsense. After that, their response to criticism regarding that tweet was simply to ban people, so it's a short end there. Now—
Hold on. Now AIN Capital has released a report which once again shows Moonfish, the developer, is acting dubious. This time it's discovered in the Russian privacy policy that user data on the company's online store is not necessarily private and might be shared with various Russian authorities. The report also says the policy follows Russian mobilization laws under which soldiers are currently being recruited in Russia to continue the criminal war against Ukraine. Wait, criminal war? Wait, so wait, in the oh, okay, that's the opinion of the report from AIN Capital, not from the actual, like, dev team. Okay, yeah, it'd be weird for them to say it's a criminal war, because they'd probably be arrested for that. And then Moonfish responded, our game and website do not collect any information or data. The website's privacy statement is outdated and wrong and should have been removed years ago. We have shut down the shop to assure the fans of our integrity of our studio and products. We apologize for any confusion. Wait, how can the website's privacy statement be outdated and wrong and should have been removed years ago when it contains references to Russia's mobilization laws, which were put into effect less than a year ago? Okay. Yeah, to what extent can this be helped? If they're a Russian company made in Russia, like bound by Russian legal laws, wouldn't it make sense if their, like, Russia-specific policy was like, we adhere to Russian mobilization laws? Like, if we take a look at U.S. policy for U.S. companies, they probably are like, and we abide by this, that, or the other for, like, U.S.-specific stuff. Chinese games would be the same, right? Like, Chinese games would be the same, where it's like, even if they release internationally, you can find stuff in there that indicates they're still kind of subservient to Chinese law. I'm not saying any of this stuff is good. It's just like, I just wonder if we're, like, throwing a fit over a Russian company for doing stuff that every other company does. It just happens to be in Russia, right? I guess the problem that I have is that a lot of the money that the Russian government gets through taxes and blah, blah, like a lot of the, first of all, literally any business done with Russia, including, like, grain, like, imports, are going to benefit their government, obviously. Like, any economic transactions with Russia are going to give the Russian government money. Sanctions or no. And it's like they get so many billions and billions of dollars from all the shit they do, like the relationship with China and with India, like an enormous amount of wealth and power. And then it's like they get all of that, but we have to boycott this game that's been in the works for nearly a decade that seems to have some legitimately impressive artistic value behind it. And it's like, okay, we rolled out a ton of sanctions. Their country's economically crippled. We can't do anything about the tens and hundreds of billions of dollars that run through their country through stuff we can't sanction. But like this game, I don't know. The other controversy with Mundfish is their workers not getting paid their bonuses and crunch. That really sucks. But like, this was kind of also happening with CD Projekt Red, wasn't it? Like a lot of bad yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's so much stuff here that feels kind of ubiquitous. And then it's like, this is the one we have to, I don't know. Do you guys not feel like maybe this is a little bit kind of like when at the beginning of the invasion of Ukraine, there were like theaters shutting down like productions of Russian plays, and like there were people like getting rid of Russian books from their bookstores and stuff. And it's like, I mean, it's not exactly like that because this is an active existing business thing, but it's you know, I don't know. Russian culture should not exist, fight me? Really? Yeah, Russian culture is actually really really rich and interesting, I think. There's a lot of cool stuff that's come from there. In my head, I'm just playing Pathologic over again. I don't know anything else. You know, Russia's contributed a lot of really valuable stuff to global culture. I feel like if you, in my head, I'm just playing Pathologic again right here. I feel like if you just head just completely empty, I just hear the like night walking music from Pathologic 1.
Now let's talk economics. The investors of the studio are Chinese Tencent and Russian GEM Capital and Gaijin Entertainment. Tencent needs no introduction, being infamous with its licensing technique and hunger over users' data. So let's start with Gaijin Entertainment, which moved from Russia to Hungary in 2022 in order to avoid conflict and continue its activities. The head of the PR, Konstantin Hovorun, illegally visited the Ukrainian Crimea, which is temporarily occupied by Russia, and repeatedly spoke in support of the policies and politics of the Russian Federation. But the most interesting sponsor
Wait, illegally went to Crimea? So they mean went to Crimea. The illegally that he's referring to here is just the act of being in Crimea.
GEM Capital. GEM Capital is a Russian fund founded by Anatoly Pali, who previously worked at Gazprom's subsidiary Gazenergoset. The studio raised investments from them in 2021, where Anatoly met and became friends with oligarchs who got rich on oil and gas activities, and now have the opportunity to invest large sums of money in very...
So, first of all, if we start boycotting everything Tencent has a hand in, then good fucking luck, okay? Second of all, it's not surprising to me that a big game that's being made in Russia would have Russian investors, and wealthy Russians are usually tied to their highly political oligarchy. That's not surprising to me. It seems like pretty straightforward. Gazprom is a state-backed company? Yeah, but like implicitly most companies are state-backed in Russia, because a lot of those companies were cut up and given to oligarchs that are basically part of the ruling class. I mean, Tencent is a state-backed Chinese company. Yeah, I don't know.
Projects. Namely, the export of gas and oil is one of the main categories of income of the Russian budget, the money from which goes to the military industry. And if you know basic economics and finances, you know that all investments must be returned, including interest. Moreover, a Twitter user found Pali's connection to other Russian state institutions, such as the sanctioned, systematically important bank VTB. The game attracted as many as 4 publishers: Xbox, 4Divinity, Focus Entertainment, and Vkey Play. Let's focus on Vkey Play. It is known to be a gaming division of the former Mail.ru, the same Mail.ru who had Maxim Zatsepin as their former top manager. And again, it is closely connected with the Russian government and participates in many initiatives of the Kremlin. If Atomic Heart is being developed with
That's kind of vague.
money that originated from sanctioned Russian businesses such as VK and Mail.ru, and banks which are systematically important to Russian government such as VTB, profits from the game could be directed to help the Russian government in its invasion. Thus, by buying Atomic Heart, you would pay money to companies that support the aggressive policies and military actions of the Russian Federation. Lastly, there were some incredible...
So, again, the problem with this isn't necessarily that he's wrong, it's just that's such a broad denunciation. Keep in mind that because of taxes, any American product that you would have bought back in 2003 would have gone towards funding the Iraq war, right? Like if you like any American movie, any like literally any American product that you consume would go back towards indirectly funding the Iraq war, just existing in America, basically. That doesn't mean that there's nothing like worthwhile about pointing that out or criticizing it. That's not comparable, though. I think it's directly comparable, isn't it? Especially because back when we invaded Iraq, basically everyone in power was in favor of it. Like this, I imagine a ton of corporate heads and developers were in favor of it as well. But there's a difference between that and just paying the Russian government. Well, the Russian government, like the Russian companies have ties to the Kremlin all over the place, right? I don't know how much this can be. I mean, if you want to pirate it, I guess, yeah.
Of service and privacy policies spotted over at Mundfish. The website now leads to a 404, but someone managed to capture these screenshots. Basically, it says that your information can and will be transferred to the Russian government, in particularly the Federal Security Service. And not just your username, but your full name, physical address, email, phone number, IP address, and so on. Gotta say, their mobilization methods are getting kinda dire. Finally, let's talk about the game.
Wait, what? Wait, is this person implying? We talked over that, but is this person implying that, like, you'll be recruited? It's a joke? Yeah, maybe, I guess it's a joke, yeah, I don't know.
Game itself for a bit. Set in the USSR in 1955, the game is filled to the brim with USSR-themed keepsakes and memorabilia, from drinking condensed milk straight out of the can to actual flags and symbols of the USSR hammer and sickle. This kind of approach to the showcase of USSR and communism walks a thin line between using it for world building and praising it, and there are many solid reasons.
Oh god. Alright guys, get ready for it.
To believe that this line has been crossed completely right into promoting and idealizing the USSR regime and using it as a tool of USSR and Russian military propaganda, and there have been events to prove this. Take a look at this event that people behind VK organized. It was a special showcase of atomic heart for the Russian press, which was stylized in the game's Soviet aesthetics.
Dude, the literal last BioShock game, BioShock Infinite, was you run around on a white supremacist, like, Ku Klux Klan fucking floating island. And there was tons of promotional shit that was, like, aestheticized around that. That didn't mean the game was an endorsement of it. Well, the game fucked up the messaging. But, yeah, like, BioShock 1 was just loaded with, like, Randian objectivist messaging in its aesthetic and its advertisements and everything. Like, what is this? This doesn't mean anything. Wolfenstein 3 to use the Nazi theme in its title. Yeah. Also, like, if the game ends up, like, first of all, I don't think the game is meant to celebrate the Soviet Union. It looks like things are breaking down here. Like, if this game is anything like BioShock, it heavily showcases an ideology to criticize it. BioShock 1 criticizes Randian objectivism. BioShock 2 criticizes, like, idealistic, like, ultra-egalitarianism. BioShock Infinite criticizes, ineffectively at some points, like American and white supremacy. It's like a way of criticizing these ideologies. So if the Soviet Union is heavily, like, featured in the aesthetic, that doesn't necessarily mean it's an endorsement. But even if it is an endorsement, I would, like, honestly, I don't care. If they're celebrating the Soviet Union, like, as what it could have been, like, I will not celebrate the Soviet Union as it was. I will celebrate the Soviet Union as it might have been, a kind of, like, retro-futurist, like, egalitarian utopia. Fine. The concept of communism is one of egalitarianism. It's not like, say, depicting an ultra-futuristic Nazi future, because the concept of Nazism is fundamentally rooted in exploitation, oppression, and genocide. If you wanted to make, like, an ideal Soviet communism, I think that's fine. If it were communist, the Soviet Union wasn't communist.
And they did not go stingy on the decorations, huh? The event included a dinner in a large banquet hall where you could see Soviet-style slogans like "Glory to the Soviet engineers" or "Comrade, join the society of the future." One of the users in Twitter replies said, "Imagine if developers of Wolfenstein had a Nazi-themed party."
Well, it's a good thing that communism and Nazism aren't the same things, nor indeed is, like, Soviet nostalgia versus Nazi nostalgia, not even remotely. Even if the Soviet Union was authoritarian and at times quite fascist, at least under Stalin, that doesn't change the fact that when people talk about the Soviet Union, oftentimes they're talking about the concept of, like, communism, of egalitarianism, of utopianism, whereas people who idealize the Nazis are doing so for the genocide. If you go and find a random tanky online, like some fucking 17-year-old trans chick or whatever, who like thinks Stalin did nothing wrong, if you try to address the underlying reasons or ideas that are drawing them to that ideology, usually it's a kind of like radicalized militant egalitarianism. Whereas if you talk to any like internet Nazi, it is the genocide that's driving them over, you know? Nobody is drawn to Nazism because they like think that actually it would have been utopian if done right, you know? They're drawn to Nazism because they're anti-Semitic or because they're racist or whatever.
And I would say that's well said. Sergei Mohov, a Remedy lead gameplay designer, rightfully accused Mundfish of being nostalgic about the Soviet regime, or even glorifying.
Actually, Atomic Heart is critical of the Soviet regime. Meanwhile, Atomic Heart Party, glory to Soviet engineers, comrade, join the society tomorrow. Yeah, the party is stylized as though it's taking place in the universe of the game. Obviously, you fucking idiots. If they did a release party for BioShock 1, like a huge release party, and they had like Randian objectivist literature on display, that would not change the fact that the game is critical of Randian objectivism, okay? Jesus.
In Disco Elysium, the streets of Martinez show what it would be like to live through the failure of an attempted communist revolution.
Wow, hey dog, if you have a problem with the developers of a game praising the Soviet Union / communism, then I really would not look to Disco Elysium here, okay? Well, hold your bucking Broncos, okay? I'd be careful about this one.
You can still see artillery damage and bullet holes in the walls, notes the lead writer Helen Hinpere. There's this feeling of being stuck in the past. People of...
The artillery and bullets in the holes weren't from the communists, they were from the moralists, who came down and squashed the insurrection by killing everyone. The damage to the city was done when the liberals came in and shelled them from their airships. Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who. Immediately drowned out by the sound of gunfire from air cannons, liquidating your entire city into rubble.
Soviet and post-Soviet era are very familiar with this feeling, especially those who live in countries like Moldova or Estonia, which is the homeland of the game's lead designer, Robert Kurvitz. The game takes its own spin of what being a communist entails through its own political vision quest and partially the main quest.
No! The main quest is a murder mystery. It's not about being a communist, and you're not in a communist... Look, dude, Revachol is literally a free market exclusion zone that's maintained by a permanent liberal military blockade. The area that you're in is literally a, like, libertarian free commerce zone because there are 1 trillion airships with rifles and artillery pointed at it 24/7 to keep it that way because other liberal countries make a fuck ton of money off of all the commerce they can do here. Oh my god.
I won't spoil it, and I do suggest you try it out yourself.
You haven't spoiled it because you've described the opposite of what takes place.
Coming back to Atomic Heart, another point that rubs me the wrong way is the recent marketing strategy. It seems like their marketing team realized that their previous shady strategy has failed to bring in pre-orders, so they went with another plan to make typical capital G gamers buy their game, which is of course none other than through sexualization and objectification.
Oh my fucking god, dude. Holy... Okay, I've got my dick out, I'm ready.
Of women. So far I have avoided showing these characters on screen, but I am talking about the couple of female USSR-styled robots that they suddenly added in recent trailers and thumbnails to get the attention of the lusty neckbeards. Just by searching Atomic Heart on YouTube and scrolling far down, it's impossible to miss the countless trailers, thumbnails, edits, and shorts about these characters, with some videos claiming that they'll buy the game just for these two, which also brings in the ongoing issue of sexualizing lesbians in media.
Okay, leaving aside everything else, there is no circle of hell deep enough for people who can't tell the difference between media depicting something and endorsing something. We keep running into this issue. These two dancing robots were obviously made as some kind of like eye candy, like you're a super wealthy or powerful guy in the future Soviet Union, so you get to have hot robots that dance around and suck your dick. Wait, they don't have mouths. That clang against your dick. If we had, in the real world, super cool robots like this, they would be doing stuff like this. We would make them do this. This is a real thing that would happen, okay? Them depicting it in universe is not an endorsement of this ideology, and I support this ideology, by the way. These aren't AI, they're just robots. From what I understand, these robots aren't sentient. Maybe they are, but if they aren't, and they're literally just like advanced robots, you like have a hot robot that dances, what, okay?
Not only is marketing like this highly unethical and immoral, as
it's not. It's just not. It's not. It's not. Sex is fine. It's fine. It's sexualization is fine. It's fine.
we've been fighting was objectifying and sexualizing women, especially.
You're not objectifying women. This is an object. You're not objectifying it. It's already an object.
Especially in media and advertisements, especially lesbians, but it's also actually illegal. For example, in Ukraine, our parliament adopted a law banning sexism in advertising, which became active in January 2022. Elected officials have banned showing the superiority of one gender over another in physical, intellectual, or social aspect.
That would not even remotely cover. The Ukrainian law does not ban pieces of media where hot girls squish their boobies together. Not even remotely. Ukrainian media might ban an ad that says like, haha, men are better than women, but I don't think that's being said here.
Showing stereotypical roles of men and women, gender-based violence, as well as the human body as a sexual object. In simpler terms, it's just gross and cheap, and what pains me to say is that it seems to be working. These YouTube shorts and edits are getting millions of views.
What the fuck is wrong with liking hot robot girls?
Quickly becoming favorite among the fans, who quickly started to spread rumors about a possible 6-hour sex scene in the video game. It's so wrong on so many levels.
It's one clickbait video. That always happens. It's not so wrong. What? Holy shit, Vaush, you're not getting what this guy's talking about. Ask an Estonian or anyone how to live in a crap system. What the fuck you do? Do you guys watch my stream? You guys realize I am literally the loudest anti-tanky on the entire online left, right? You guys, I don't know why there are people in chat acting like I need education on this. I am literally the loudest anti-tanky in the online left, period. No caveats or qualifications. Nothing, nobody else comes even close, okay? I don't know why there are people in my community right now who are acting like I need education on the fact that Stalin was bad, okay? It's ridiculous. Look, the reason why, okay, are you guys want a huge fucking red pill? The reason why depictions of the Nazi Germany are like kind of spicy and have to be handled carefully, and the reason why like celebration of some kind of futuristic hypothetical ideal quote-unquote Nazi society would be bad aren't because Nazi Germany was bad. Lots of countries are bad. You guys realize that the British killed millions of Indians, right? What about some kind of idealized hypothetical like Persian or Ottoman future? You know how many millions of people they killed? You want to go down the list? What about like, do you guys see like idealization of Mongolians and you're like, no, they killed tens of millions? No, you don't. The reason why Nazis specifically are bad is not because of how bad the country is or what they did. It's because of what people are referring to when they depict that society. When people refer to, depict, idealize Mongolian society, they're doing so in an aesthetic sense. Sometimes with a cultural, like, kind of respect, but mostly aesthetic. When people are talking about, like, England, usually they're idealizing the million things that we associate with England, not like the genocide of Indian people, or with like Belgium, the 10 million or whatever fucking people who died in the Congo, okay? When people are like, oh yeah, you know, here's like a hypothetical future like Belgium society or whatever, it's not like, no, you're supporting the destruction of the Congo. The problem is, Nazism is unique in that when people celebrate, idealize anything having to do with Nazism, they are doing it for the genocide. That's why. It is possible for people to celebrate England because of the genocides that England has committed. That happens. But I don't think that's the majority. I think it's the minority by far. Likewise, the Soviet Union. Lots of people do aesthetic and conceptual idealization of the Soviet Union for a lot of reasons that have nothing to do with like defending the Holodomor or defending like the crushing of the Hungarian Revolution for Independence. There are a lot of reasons why people do that with the USSR that are not an explicit endorsement of mass murder. But with Nazis specifically, everyone online who in any way holds sympathy to Nazi idealism, aesthetic, whatever, why? It's because of the genocide. That's why. That's it. That's the only thing that pulls people to Nazism, because Nazism defined itself with genocide in the way the USSR did not. The USSR, Mongolia, England, Persia, the Ottoman Empire, the Holy Roman Empire, Rome, Greece, all of these societies define themselves in a number of ways for a number of reasons. Nazis didn't. They are explicitly thought of as the genocide guys. That is all they have. That is their legacy. And for that reason, we're very touchy about idealizations of their society, because the question is, well, what exactly are you idealizing then? So, okay, so here's like a hypothetical ideal Nazi society. Okay, so why them? What there? Why then? You talk to those people, and the reason for their idealization is usually because, again, genocide. But the idea of like enjoying Soviet punk retro futurism, like the only reason a person could do that is because they support the Holodomor, something a lot of people don't even know about. No.
Game. It's that easy. Don't wishlist Atomic Heart, don't buy it, and go play something like Disco Elysium instead. You should wishlist Stalker too, though. So
go play Disco Elysium to avoid content that might idealize the Soviet Union or communism. But go ahead. Jeez.
Some users could make a claim that they could simply pirate it and pay no money to the Russian devs and still enjoy the game. To that, I can't say anything. At that point, it depends only on your moral compass. If you feel comfortable playing the game after watching this video till the end, I've done all in my power and I can't control your wallet, so I can't stop you from pirating this game. It's just up to your morals and ideals at this point. In the description, I'll be sending the links to all of the articles used for this video. Whether to check it is up to you. I want to give a shout out.
Alright, I was entirely unconvinced by this video. Maybe more stuff comes out that makes me more hesitant, but right now... Oh, hold on. Here's some context that I was not aware of. This video had 1.4 million views. It came out 2 days ago, and it has twice as many dislikes to likes. This video was already getting dumped on. Also, it came from a channel with 8,000 viewers, or 8,000 subscribers. So I'm a lot less inclined to be super mean to this video maker. Some of the engagement might be bots, maybe. It seems like the comments are being positive towards the channel. Hey, unfortunately, I'm forced to somewhat limit comments as they're currently being botted by more faceless, newly made accounts that anyone could ever realistically keep up with. I'm reading them and appreciate people taking the time to provide their thoughts and feedback. I hope you can understand. Interesting. The comments don't read like the kind of comments that you would see with this many views and this many likes and dislikes. Is this getting botted? I completely understand this is coming from a place of passion and anger at the injustice of the war in Ukraine. Comparing COD players to people who enthusiastically listen to Joe Rogan podcasts come across sources of viewers. And then move on because they hear politics, so basically insulting my point. Might be wise seekers. I wonder how much this has been botted and brigaded. That's kind of interesting. The top liked comment is critical, and it's been left up by this person. But the second most top comment has half the likes, but it's favorable to the video. I think botting is involved here. Almost positive botting is involved here. Well, we learned something today. By the creator or someone else. Someone else. Otherwise it wouldn't have all the dislikes. By Russia, perhaps? They sent the booby robots over to dislike the video.